Hi there, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this webinar. We're going to be speaking about the VMware Cloud Marketplace and how you can use it to deploy solutions such as Runecast Analyzer from into your on-premises vCenter servers to vCloud Director to VMware Cloud Foundation and also to places like VMware Cloud on AWS. Quick bit of introductions. There we go. So this is me about a year ago, actually now. So I'm a systems engineer at Runecast. Prior to Runecast, I worked at VMware for a couple of years. I've got a whole bunch of certifications, so you should be really impressed with all the books on my shelves and everything like that. But none of those are really important right now. I'm just here to talk to you about tools that you can use to make your life easier. So as I say, previously I worked at VMware where I was a subject matter expert on vSphere lifecycle and generally on vSphere stuff. So lots of stuff going on there. Outside of work, I love Scottish football. I love going walking. So I can go walking again. I managed to get a haircut. Anyone who's seen any of these recent webinars will have seen my hair was getting a little bit crazy. So I'm much happier with this now. I like to eat cheese. I like to travel, not so much of that at the moment. And I like to run. I've just started running again and my knees have started giving me grief for it. You can get me on Twitter at Kev_Johnson. You can listen to me on the Open TechCast podcast, or you can find me on my blog v-it.pro. I'm joined here today by Nee from VMware. Nee, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kev. I'm Nee, as Kevin mentioned. I'm very happy to be here with the Runecast team today. So currently, I drive product marketing and strategy for VMware Cloud Marketplace. And so today, I'll be talking to you a little bit about that. I have a bachelor's in engineering and an MBA from here in the US, in Austin. And outside of work, just as Kevin mentioned, I do want to mention those pieces as well. So, I love to cook, listen to music, read mystery novels, things like that. And just as a fun fact, in my previous life, I was actually a literal engineer. So I was a mechanical engineer. So I used to work with engines on a fairly daily basis. So I guess just a fun fact. You can catch me at my email ID at vmware.com or on LinkedIn. And I'm also on Twitter as well, just my first name and last name.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Okay, so just in terms of an agenda, it's always good to have an agenda, and we'll try and stick to this as much as we can. We've got quite a lot of content to get through. We've got 45 minutes, so some of this stuff I'm going to go through quite quickly. But if you need any further information at the end, we've got a Q&A section as well. So if you've got any questions, if you want to, please feel free to drop them into either the chat window or the questions window, and we'll get round to them at the end. Don't wait till the end to type those in, because everyone else would be frantically typing at the same time as well. We're going to go through a quick introduction to Runecast Analyzer for any of you who aren't familiar with the product. We'll give you a quick demo, just a few minutes to kind of poke around the interface, show you the kinds of problems that we can really help to solve. We're going to give you an introduction to the VMware Cloud Marketplace. As I say, I think it's a really awesome tool. It's great to see this kind of functionality out there. A year ago, I would have been, in fact, even 2 years ago, I would have been amazed to see the kind of functionality that we have there to manage deployments and things like, there's the Bitnami acquisition, all kinds of cool stuff in there. And then I've got a quick video where I'm going to show you how you go about subscribing to Runecast Analyzer through the VMware Cloud Marketplace. And then, as I say, we'll get to the end. We'll have some time for questions. And hopefully we'll have lots of good questions and we'll be able to answer them all for you. So a little bit about Runecast. So Runecast was formed by these folks here on your screen there. These handsome chaps. They all worked for IBM in the VMware Center of Excellence in Brno in the Czech Republic a few years ago, and they occasionally hit on some problems. And they hit on one really big outage, and the cause of this outage they discovered at the end was already documented in the VMware knowledge base. So they were kind of thinking, what can we do? Surely there must be a way that we can take the massive amount of information that is out there and make it available so that you could maybe do some kind of automated scans and be made aware of these issues before you get the outage. And so that's what they did. They built this awesome artificial intelligence machine learning tool that uses natural language programming to kind of take that information and scan against your environment, initially against the knowledge base, and then also for things like security compliance and hardware compatibility list compliance as well. So there's a whole load of skills in there. They're all vExperts, fellow vExpert here. So it's great to work for a company where we all hold the vExpert standard up to be to so high a standard. But yeah, so those are the good folks. They did all the hard work starting the company. So as I say, 90% of issues that we see in the VMware-based SDDC, they can be resolved. They're already documented issues. So we're going to scan your environment. We're going to check against the knowledge base, the hardening guides, the security compliance standards, the best practices. All of this stuff is already there. We just needed a tool that could do those scans proactively for you, rather than you having to be reactive and wait for the outage before you found out that actually you could have prevented that from happening in the first place. So these are the kind of problems that we solve. So we're proactively scanning vSphere, NSX, vSAN, Horizon. There's also, we're fully certified for VMware Cloud on AWS. So if you're running workloads in VMware Cloud on AWS, you can use Runecast Analyzer in exactly the same way there. We allow you to check your existing environment against the hardware compatibility list, and also check against the HCL for potential upgrades. So in my previous job at VMware, I spent a lot of time talking to customers about how hard, one of the biggest challenges when planning an upgrade was knowing which hardware you needed to replace and which hardware you could just get away with, or maybe you just need to upgrade some firmware or a BIOS. So we can do all of that automatically for you. If you want to plan your upgrade to vSphere 7, we've got a really good feature for that, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. We perform log analysis, so we check syslog on your ESXi hosts, and also we can from your virtual machines as well, and we'll correlate those against the VMware knowledge base. So again, there's a lot of information in there that we wouldn't necessarily be able to pick up from static configuration analysis that we can pick up from analyzing those syslogs. And again, I've mentioned the configuration analysis, and we do all this in an automated fashion. So you set a schedule, the scans happen automatically, and then you're going to be made aware of any risks that you've got in your environment. Okay, so this slide is pretty similar to the previous one, so we'll just skip through this very quickly. Something to bear in mind, we're checking things like the VMware knowledge base, we're checking the hardware compatibility list. We're also checking a bunch of other sources of data as well, so things like blogs and social media. I was involved in, there was an issue with some of the labs in some of the servers in my home lab recently, and we were chatting on social media, and we came across an issue, and we discovered that we needed the vendor to provide a BIOS update in order to fix this. And all of these kind of things, you don't find out about them until they make it into a knowledge base article, or until these things get pushed down to the HCL. But because we're monitoring these sources of data, we can sometimes provide that information before that KB gets written. And again, we're checking all of these security hardening guides, so the VMware Security Configuration Guide, DSSTIG, PCI DSS, CIS, BSI, the list goes on, and we're adding new standards all the time as well. And all of this in a tiny, lightweight virtual appliance. So what is Runecast Analyzer? Well, what it is, it's a virtual appliance that you deploy on premises, and it's got this patented rules engine that lives in your environment, and it's just checking all of those sources of data within your environment. And when there's a known issue discovered, it'll flag these things up to you. It's a really important thing to understand is that all of this analysis happens on premises. No data is sent out to a cloud service. If you have security concerns and you don't want to, you don't want to be sending any data to a cloud service, then Runecast Analyzer can really help you there. On top of that, we also have our AI-assisted knowledge parser, which lives in the cloud. So it lives up in the cloud. We pull together all of these sources of data, and we push them down into the repository. You can do online updates, or you can do out-of-band updates, and you get that data typically once a week for a knowledge update, and we're adding new features all the time in there. So some key business benefits: we're going to save you some time, we're going to help you reduce outages, improve your security posture, minimize any risk, if you're working towards any kind of compliance standards, and ultimately reduce costs and free up your IT staff to do things more valuable to your business than putting out fires, basically. So key features, we've probably covered all of these there. It's very quick. It's certified for VMware Cloud on AWS. We've got a vSphere Web Client plugin, so you can get all of this information from within the vSphere Web Client. There's a full RESTful API. It's really easy to use. You don't need to go on a course to learn how to use it, and you'll see that in a moment when I show you the actual product. There's a vRealize Orchestrator plugin as well. So if you need to get to a position where you need to be compliant to a specific standard, our vRealize Orchestrator plugin can really help you go from the state that you're in at the moment to that fully compliant environment. And on that note, let's pray to the demo gods that I can find my mouse, never mind anything else. There we go. No, it's gone walkies again. This is what happens when you've got way too many screens. There we go. Oh, updates available. That's always handy. You can tell it's a live demo when things like that go on, right? So this is what the appliance looks like, and you know, you've probably seen something a bit like this in the past. You know, you've got these big screens in your network operations center, and they're monitoring things like you know, performance and capacity and things like that. But Runecast Analyzer is focused on configuration. So as we can see here, we break down the number of configuration issues by severity and layer. We can see we've got some issues coming in from the syslog there. And we've also got 89 knowledge base articles applicable. So this has come from the VMware knowledge base. We're hitting 47% security compliance, 52% best practice adoption. Now that security compliance state is not great, but that's okay, because we're actually checking against a whole bunch of different standards here. You don't need to do that. And in fact, we'd encourage you to only check against the standards that you need to work with. But we've turned on all the features that we've got here because it's a demo, and why the hell not, eh? If we look in the all issues view, there we go. Again, we can tell it's a live demo because things go slow when you don't want them to. So we can see here we've called out a whole bunch of risks in the environment, and these are risks that exist in the environment. So we've got an ESXi host that could fail with a purple diagnostic screen. So you get a purple screen of death, and it's a bad day at the office, and then you've got to gather core dumps and log bundles and send them off to support, and then eventually, you know, you'll probably get back and they'll say, oh yeah, there's this VMware knowledge base article applies, and what you need to do is you need to patch ESXi. Ultimately, you know, if you'd patched in the first place, you wouldn't have had that problem. So we're going to show you here. We can see the findings. We've only got one specific ESXi 6 host, and the fact that we've got an ESXi 6 host, that's problematic as well, because it's obviously end of general support. But we can see this ESXi 6 host is running this build of ESXi, which is ESXi 6 general availability. So that's why we're vulnerable there. If we look further down this list, we'll just pick some other ones. So we've got hypervisor assisted guest mitigation for branch target injection. We can see here we've got these hosts are affected, and these are the builds that we're running. Oh, we've got a mix of different builds in. Yeah, that's interesting. So, you know, we're calling out all of this information up front so you can remediate it before you get impacted with an outage. If we just kind of jump down, you know, if I want to look specifically at the configuration knowledge base side of things, so again, we've got a purple screen of death there. We've got an ESXi host may crash. We've got another purple screen. There's a lot of purple screen of death knowledge base articles, and unfortunately, or fortunately, the lab that we use to demonstrate this stuff is vulnerable to a lot of them. But there's things in here like VMware security advisories. There's things in here like, you know, it conflicts with drivers and firmware. And so we can look at all of that stuff, and we're always going to show you the source of that data. If you want to go and check it against the live VMware knowledge base, you're absolutely happy, you know, you're more than welcome to do so. But we've got all of that stuff in there. Best practices, so there's a whole different, you know, there's a number of different sources of best practices, and we can see, for example, SSH should be disabled in your environment. You shouldn't be running ESXi hosts with SSH enabled, unless, you know, you've got some very specific use cases for that. But yeah, the VMware security team would like to speak to you about those use cases. But we can see here again, these are the ESXi hosts, and this is the finding that we have. We can see that the SSH service is running on those hosts, so we should go and stop that from happening. And it's not just VMware. So as you can see in here, we've got some stuff about EC2. So we've got AWS services in there. We've got NSXV. So if you've got things about NSX, there's also best practices in here for VMware to Ryzen as well. So it's not just vSphere in there. Security compliance, as I say, we've shown you a lot of the standards. Most customers will want to work towards the VMware security configuration guide. And so we can see in here, yeah, we've got a lot of failures in here. We've actually got 108 things that we've got against the VMware security configuration guide, but that's not including those that we're doing correctly. So we filter and we say we only want to look at the failures. we're down to 61 things that we need to fix. And again, we can see we've got things here, NSXV, NSXV, it hasn't been patched correctly. So you need to patch that in order to remove that risk there. I'm not going to run through all of the different security standards because each one of them has very different terminology that they use. But the one last thing I will show you very quickly is the HCL. And we get a lot of really good feedback from this. So as we can see here, we've scanned the entire environment against the VMware HCL. So this is the online VMware HCL. Anyone can look at it, but doing this in a programmatic way against many vCenter servers at one time there's no other tool that can do this for you. And we call out straight away the host that you've got issues with. So we can see here, we've got this ESXi host. The server is good, the BIOS is good, the processor is supported, the IO devices are supported, they're running supported driver firmware combinations, but we've got a vSAN controller issue. So as you're probably aware, the vSAN HCL is very strict. So you must meet the exact combination of driver and firmware on that HCL. And if we look down here, we can see we're running driver version 2030, and if we look on the HCL here, yeah, it's supported as 2030. However, we're running firmware 688, and 688 is supported, but it's only supported with driver 2042. So in order to bring this host into compliance with the VMware HCL and remove that risk from the environment, you would generally want to upgrade that driver rather than downgrade the firmware, but either of them would take you to a compliant status. So that's all good if you're looking at your existing state, but as I say, a lot of people are looking at upgrades now. So with vSphere 6 being under general support, vSphere 7 has now been out for a few months, so maybe you're looking at a vSphere 7 upgrade. And at that point, we'll go, okay, we'll hit the simulate button and we can see all of these hosts have got problems. So in this case, the server itself is still supported. The hardware is still good, so we don't need to physically replace that hardware. However, we're running a BIOS that is not listed on the HCL, so it's not going to be supported. So we need to get the BIOS upgraded to a supported version. IO devices, if we look at this, we can see we've got this H710P Mini, and it is on the HCL, but it's just not on the HCL for vSphere 7. If we look in the list of supported releases, it only goes up to 6.5 update 3. And on that note, I'm going to swing back in here, and I'm going to hand across to Nee, who is going to talk to you about the VMware Cloud Marketplace. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Kev. Hope everyone can hear me. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, I am Nee, and I work on the VMware Cloud Marketplace product, which Kevin mentioned a few times throughout the presentation. I think he mentioned how it's really useful, and Runecast Analyzer is on the marketplace. But today I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of overview about the marketplace itself, and then we can kind of link it to how Runecast Analyzer using it via the marketplace is actually beneficial for our joint customers of VMware as well as Runecast. So as the name suggests, at a very high level, VMware Cloud Marketplace is a service which essentially enables our customers to discover and deploy third-party as well as open source solutions to various cloud environments. So all of these deployable solutions go through a VMware validation. So you can actually ensure that these solutions are going to work on this cloud environment that you're deploying to. So in terms of the cloud environments, I'll get to that a little bit in the next slide, but essentially the VMware Cloud Marketplace connects these third-party and open source solutions to VMware endpoints, such as VMware Cloud AWS or vSphere and so on. So, now that we have kind of that very high level overview, we can kind of take a deeper look at what the marketplace really does. So like any marketplace, we essentially facilitate an interaction between two parties. If you look at any marketplace in the world, from historic times, that's really what it does, is it connects two parties and facilitates that interaction. So in this case, we're really facilitating the interaction between our software vendor partners and open source publishers and so on, with our own VMware customer base. And there's great benefits to both of these parties in utilizing this marketplace. So for our partners, of course, there's they get access to or an easy way to reach this customer base. They have their own self-published portal. It's really easy to kind of provide the best version and of the solution and all the best iterations and so on. And on the customer side, of course, you get a catalog of solutions that are easy to use, easy to find, easy to deploy, have gone through validation, and both vendors as well as customers get access to a number of features such as analytics and notifications, real-time notifications that are actually built in to the marketplace product. So in terms of the solutions that are on marketplace, as I mentioned, it's really all sorts of third-party and open source solutions, ranging from your most common use cases, things like storage or disaster recovery, but also some long tail use cases. Maybe there's a particular type of CMS tool that your company uses, open source tool. You probably will find that on marketplace and make it very easy to use to your VMware endpoint. So speaking of those VMware endpoints, as you can see in the bottom here, we are currently integrated with five VMware platforms, which you can see in the light blue. So those platforms are VMware Cloud and AWS, VMware Cloud Director, VMware TKGI, which is Tanzu Kubernetes Grid Integrated Edition, Tanzu product, VMware vSphere, as well as VMware Cloud Foundation. So when I say integrated, what it means is that you can actually deploy third-party solutions from the marketplace directly to these platforms. And Kev will actually go through that a little bit later on in the presentation. And then in terms of what's coming up next, we're interested in integrating with a lot more VMware platforms, and really the goal is to become kind of that one marketplace to reach any VMware customer, to have any VMware customer reach the endpoint that they want to reach. So we're working with groups as disparate as Workspace ONE, vRealize Automation, etc., and we want to have all of these integrated to the marketplace. In the long term, kind of as a long vision kind of thing, what we're also interested in is connecting the marketplace to the native cloud itself, which would enable our VMware customers to essentially deploy not just to their VMware endpoints, but really anywhere within their stack. But that's kind of our vision or intended goal. So that's a quick look at what the marketplace is, what it connects, where it reaches, etc. Now, talking in terms of what are the key benefits that customers can really expect by using marketplace. So really, there's 4 key benefits, I would say. So convenience, trust, flexibility, and transparency. Now, when we talk about convenience, what it really means, or what it really implies, is the fact that marketplace is really this one-stop shop for getting all of these third-party and open source solutions that are compatible with VMware environments. So you don't have to go to multiple locations. You don't have to kind of wonder where you might find the latest version of something, for example. If you have access to marketplace, that's really where you should be looking, essentially. The second piece is trust. So this relates to the way that we deliver these solutions securely, and the fact that these solutions are validated. So we validate them at the front, and then we make sure that the way they're connected or integrated with the VMware environment is done in a very trustful way, is done in a very seamless and kind of integrated way. Thirdly, flexibility. So what that means is that the same solution, let's say you have a virtual appliance solution, can actually reach different VMware endpoints with the same kind of, with the same page that you access. So you might, search for Runecast Analyzer, and you can actually send it to your VMware Cloud and AWS environment, or you can send it to your on-prem environment with the same appliance, with the same page that you access on Marketplace. So it really gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of all the different platforms and apps and formats that you can really access. And lastly, transparency is a very key aspect. So with the Marketplace, you can actually get a quick look at all of your real-time notifications, any updates to your subscribed solutions, analytics, really everything all in one location. So transparency is a really key aspect as well. So with all that being said, did want to talk to this group a little bit about kind of the traction that we've been seeing. So just in terms of context, the marketplace launched just about a year ago at the last VMworld. So that was in late August 2019. So it's been just around almost exactly 11 months since we launched. And in that time, we've actually seen more than 550 unique these are enterprises actually signing up for Marketplace, and have started to use it as well. So really cutting across, as you might expect from any cross section of a VMware customer base, really cutting across all sorts of different industries, different sizes of enterprises, different locations, pretty much a good cross section. And with these 550 customer organizations, we've actually seen over 1,000 user signups as well. So we have a lot of people using the marketplace and really starting to deploy these solutions to their VMware environments, whether they're retail or government or telecom or anything like that. Now, on the other side, if you look at kind of who are our partners, who do we actually have on the marketplace? So right now we have over 300 published solutions on the marketplace, including, of course, the Runecast Analyzer. More than 45 ISVs are participating so far. We also have, as Kev mentioned in the beginning, we have a large number of open source solutions that are packaged and published by Bitnami, which is a company that we acquired last year. They're a leading packager and publisher of open source solutions. So we have all of those compatible and ready to use for VMware customers in a very seamless manner. And as I mentioned at the start, these solutions really extend across all sorts of different categories, ranging from backup to storage to analytics and so on. Right now, we have 4 key formats that are available via the marketplace. So we, of course, have OVAs and ISOs. We also have Helm charts and Docker images as well. And containers are really a big focus for us in the marketplace team as well. So in essence, with the VMware Cloud Marketplace, we help our partners, reach the VMware customer base in a very cohesive way, and we also help our customers access these third-party solutions in a very cohesive way. Lastly, before I hand off to Kev, just wanted to talk a little bit about having Runecast Analyzer on the VMware Cloud Marketplace. So as Kev mentioned, it's a product that is very compatible with VMware environments, and so we're very happy to have them on the marketplace. And this is kind of what the page looks like. You can see in the image on the left-hand side is the listing of that solution on the marketplace. When you actually click on that blue button in the top right corner, which is actually subscribe, you will go to the image that you see on the right-hand side, in which you can actually choose, hey, I want to send it to this VMC environment, this particular SDDC, use these particular vSphere resources, etc., and immediately send that OVA template over. So that's what it looks like, and I think Kev will go into that a little bit more. In terms of what this allows you to do, right? So you can see that with the presence of the analyzer on Marketplace, you can actually send the appliance directly to your chosen VMware Cloud AWS endpoint or even your on-premises endpoint. You can choose the right version. So we actually have versioning access on Marketplace. So partners can actually upload multiple versions, and you as a customer can choose the version to deploy that is right for you. So it's not always that you're forced to use the latest version or a particular version. You can actually choose which version that is most compatible for you. You can also be notified as soon as a new version is actually available. As I mentioned, we have real-time notifications. So when Kev or someone else on his team goes in and updates Runecast Analyzer, you as a customer will actually get notified saying that, hey, Runecast is updated. Would you like to get the latest version? So that's a great benefit for a lot of folks who until now might be kind of managing both in a manual fashion. And then lastly, you can use Runecast Analyzer on premises or behind firewall because of the way that we've enabled kind of that pull mechanism via Marketplace. So that's kind of a quick look at having Analyzer on Runecast Analyzer on the VMware Cloud Marketplace, and you can actually access and take a look at it right now on the Marketplace website, which is marketplace.cloud.vmware.com. It is open to browse to the internet. You don't need to log in. You don't need to sign in to browse. So I recommend that everybody goes ahead and does that. You can take a look at the Runecast page, just as you see in the top left corner here. So with that, I think that's it from my side. I'll pass it back on to Kev.
Awesome. Thanks, Nee. This is where I go. Where's my mouse gone again? There we go. It's down there. Brilliant. Okay. So what I'm going to show you now is basically how you go about signing up. So as Nee's mentioned, you can grab containers, you can grab OVAs, ISO files, you can grab blueprint files, and even SaaS services. And then you can deploy to VMware Cloud on AWS, VMware Cloud Director, Tanzu Kubernetes Grid integrated, and also on premises to things like vSphere. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to browse the marketplace for Runecast. And we're going to show how awesome my spelling is when I'm typing. So we've selected Runecast Analyzer. And we've got two options here. We can either download the OVA directly, so we can do that and then deploy it if that's what we want to do. But what we're going to do is we're going to subscribe to the Runecast service, so that as Nii mentioned, when there's a new version available, we're going to pull that down into your content library. We should mention it's a bring your own license model. So while you get the appliance is made available in your content library, you still need to have a license to apply to it at that point. We can select auto updates so that when there's a new version of Runecast Analyzer published, that automatically gets pulled down, and there's an option to select, how many versions you want to keep in your content library too. We're going to sign up to and agree to the end user license agreement, and we can see here we've got subscription created. We can deploy to vSphere, VCD, or VCF. So we go to the subscriptions, which is super easy. We can come in here if we hit instructions. This is going to give us the subscription URL, which, as you can see, is based in AWS. So what we do here, because we need a content library in order to actually deploy this, we're going to go in and create a brand new content library because we don't have one in this lab environment. Let's just create it, give it a name, and it's just going to be on this vcsa.runecast.lab. That's just one of my lab boxes. We hit next. We're going to now we're going to subscribe to that specific JSON file, and we're going to download the content automatically. There's also the option of downloading it just when you need it. So when you actually go to do the deployment, it would download it first. But yeah, so there we go. That content library is going to be created, and then what we'll see happen is it will pull down the appliance into your content library automatically. And bear in mind, again, every time there's a new version of Runecast Analyzer deployed into the marketplace, that's going to be pulled down into your environment. So now we've got the appliance, and we're going to deploy it into this data center. We're just calling it Runecast. There's nothing too fancy here, just 4 nested ESXi hosts. We have to agree to all of this stuff because there's some extra configuration details in that OVA file. Again, read through, make sure you read all of that end user license agreement. There's a really nasty bit of terminology. There's not, it's just a standard EULA. And then we need to deploy it to some storage. So we select vSAN, we're going to select a network to deploy it to, and then we're going to key in some details for the network. If you leave all of this blank, you can leave it blank. It will all just be pulled off DHCP in your environment. So here we go. The pressure's on. Can I type? So far, not screwed up. No, there we go. There we go. I can't type the IP address of one of my DNS servers. Let's see if I can type the host name. Oh, nearly, almost. Slight failure at the end. Wow, we've got quite a lot of questions in here. Okay, that's great. We can pick those up shortly, and then we're just we're going to power on that appliance, and we'll see that appliance booting up. Well, let's just refresh that. There we go. The appliance is booting up, and once it's booted up, we can then log into the console. And that's all there is to it. It's super easy to to go from cloud-based service and deploy on premises. Just very quickly before we get to the questions, we've got we're making really good time. Just the standard racing car slides of customers of ours who are really happy with what they get from Runecast Analyzer. So there's big companies like Chevron, like Pure Storage, like Verizon, like Avast. There's all kinds of companies in there. We've got some testimonials. I'm not going to spend too long on here, but we get quotes from customers like Runecast Analyzer provides us a proactive view of our production vSphere cluster and enables us to discover issues that might impact our productivity before they occur. It saved us countless hours of tedious work. And again, there's in the financial industry, the Volkswagen Bank in the Netherlands, 75% time saved on troubleshooting and root cause analysis. And ONI, we did a webinar with ONI, I think either last month or the month before, where they talked about the various different things that they used. That they use Runecast Analyzer for in order to be able to guarantee 100% uptime for their customers. And on that note, let's move to the questions. So yeah, we've got quite a lot in here. So the first one, is it possible to get a full feature trial license key of Runecast Analyzer for seeing critical issues recommendations? I've sent a message via console. You didn't get an answer. Okay, Robert. If you send in fact, I'll just click onto the next slide. If you email that email address, innovate@runecast.com, if you've not had a response from the console, I assume that's the chat section on the website. Someone will get back to you as soon as possible. Right, okay, let's get through the rest of these. So where is the VMware Cloud Marketplace hosted? In public clouds, which right, okay, so are you able to pick that up, Nee? Where the actual cloud marketplace is hosted? I was going to guess it's on AWS, but you might have better information.
Yeah, it's also on AWS, yeah, so I can definitely give more information to the asker if you just reach out to me at that email ID. But yeah, a short answer is it's hosted on AWS. Yeah.
Great stuff. And also another one for you: is the VMware Cloud Marketplace different from the vRealize Suite Marketplace portal? Too many marketplaces, right?
Yeah, so they are linked. So I think I know what the asker is asking about. So basically within vRealize, I know there is a tab called Marketplace in which you get blueprints and things like that. So that is actually pulling from something called the VMware Solution Exchange, which is kind of an app directory, and that's actually being rolled into Marketplace fairly soon. So
it's going to all become part of the same thing.
Yeah, it's going to become one marketplace. So eventually it will become the same. Right now they are kind of distinct. It's kind of at that gray area in the middle of being pulled in. But yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Awesome. Next question, I will field this one. Can Runecast Analyzer support Nutanix or only VMware? So obviously a lot of Nutanix customers are running vSphere on top of Nutanix, so obviously we can completely support those. I'm guessing the question is actually more along the lines of, do we support Nutanix's AHV hypervisor? And at present we don't, but we have that on the roadmap. That should be getting delivered. I can't remember if it's in the next quarter or before the end of this year, but it's coming real soon. So many questions. This is brilliant. We don't normally we get 3 or 4 questions and that's it. So this is really good. Can Runecast recommend VM consolidation like VMware Cloud planning tool? So no, we're not looking at things from a cost or a performance or a capacity monitoring perspective. We're looking specifically at the configuration of your environment. So any risks that are in that environment, any security non-compliances, we're going to flag these things up, but we're not looking to do anything like the cloud planning tool. Looks like Robert was having some problems connecting to marketplace.cloud.vmware.com. He's getting a 403.
Yeah, so I can actually maybe to Robert, if I could suggest, if you go to marketplace.cloud.vmware.com, there is a sign up button on the top. So with that, you can actually start the process of linking the marketplace service to any organizations you may have within the cloud services portal, VMware Cloud Services portal. So if you're already a user of any VMware Cloud Services, like for example VMC in AWS or the Tanzu services, anything like that, you are likely part of an org within the Cloud Services portal. So all you have to do is link the marketplace to that, and that sign up wizard will take you through those steps, and that'll give you access to use marketplace. But like I said, if you want to browse, anyone on the internet can literally go and browse without signing in. So once you want to, let's say, subscribe, like what Kev showed in the demo, at that point you will definitely have to log in. But for browsing, for filtering, for sorting, yeah, it's free to use. You can check it out.
Awesome. And I guess, as far as the cloud services logins go, if you're signed up for VMware Skyline service as well, that's also using the VMware Cloud, for authentication. Yeah. So that should let you in as well, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Same email ID. Yeah, it's the same email ID. Yep.
Awesome. Got a question. Is there a video to install the product? It looks interesting, was not aware. Terry, I'm not sure if, I'm assuming you talk about Runecast Analyzer there. If you go have a look on our website, runecast.com, there's a whole bunch of videos. There's some links to our YouTube channel, which have got, that will walk you through the deployment process. Or again, just reach out to us at innovate@runecast.com and we'll be happy to organize, a call with myself or one of my colleagues, and we'll show you how to get things running. And then the final question, oh no, not the final question. Please verify license I need to run this in my VMware 7 Enterprise. So the cloud marketplace is completely unrelated. There's no licensing cost to using the cloud marketplace. The licensing costs would be for the product that you deploy into the cloud marketplace, I guess.
Yeah.
That sound about right, Nee?
Yeah. So the marketplace is actually free to use for our VMware customers. It's really just a place where you can find third-party solutions. But like Kev said, we currently operate in a BYOL model. So you need to already have the license to the third-party solution. So in this case, if you're already a customer of Runecast Analyzer, then you can pull in that license, but use it very seamlessly to your VMware endpoint, essentially.
Awesome. Robert still seems to be having some issues with connectivity. It looks like he's possibly not entitled to use the service by his, whoever owns his org or something like that. But Robert, it might be worth reaching out. Nee, would you be able to help offline?
Yeah. If you can reach out to the email ID that's there, VMware Cloud Marketplace team.
Cloud Marketplace team at groups.vmware.com, then they should be able to help you there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's so many great questions there. So thank you so much to everybody who's thrown these in. And on that note, we managed to finish 4 minutes early, so you get 4 whole minutes of your day back. So again, just very quickly, if you're interested in trialing Runecast at all, if you go to runecast.com, we can organise you a 14-day trial to have a look and deploy and see what your findings are. If you want to learn anything more, if you want to organise a call with someone like myself or one of my colleagues, we'd be happy to have a look through the findings with you. Email us at innovate@runecast.com and connect with the VMware the VMware team at VMware Cloud Marketplace team at groups.vmware.com. And on that note, anything more you wanted to add, Nee?
I'm good. Thanks, Kev, for this opportunity. And yeah, really glad to connect with the audience.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining. Bye-bye.